Hello everyone and welcome to the LSI F1.5 EU Championship. We're today for the Qatar Grand Prix and we've just had a very interesting moment in qualifying right there. We've got Peanuts who just started a lap, getting a lovely tow from their teammate, but having a bit of a blockage on exit as that was Devon Young leaving the pit lane. I hope that hasn't caused any issues for the Swedish driver, the championship leader. He continues to lead this championship up by 2/10. He's still going pretty quick. 2/10 would not be enough to get him on provisional pole at the moment. Still got the rest of the lap to get through. Anyway, 7 minutes on the clock. Currently, Devon Young is the pole sitter for now. Others are trying to push that down. Track evolution is going to be huge around this circuit. Zingy, high downforce tyres, they're going to work even harder. How's this going to work out for track evolution? Is anyone safe at this point?
No, definitely not. There's going to be a lot of track evolution, as you said, over the course of the next 6.5 minutes. You see Peanuts just finishing his lap right now. This will be his second of 3 runs, 2/10 up for the first sector. I didn't catch the middle sector, but coming for the last now, if he's got anything through this last sector of tyres, he should get pole due to Devon Young's the track conditions being much different. He's going to come up to the line now, and it's going to be a 20.3, so yes, track evolution, as you can see, very, very big at the moment. A 2/10 improvement over Devon Young, who's just about to start his lap now.
That is a lovely, lovely lap indeed. Devon's going to try and respond to it immediately, braking just before the 50 and turning in at the same time. Getting as close as you can to the inside curve, but not too much. Getting out to the outside, then back to the outside as you go for the inside. I am going to repeat myself if I talk like that. We continue. Bit of a mini straight. Overtaking opportunity for sure around here if you get a good run. Slight dab on the brakes, and then it's very difficult to get the car rotated through here if you're not careful. You want to be on full throttle, but you just can't get it done sometimes. Now, we're trying to use all the track on entry with a bit of the grass, going up the brake bias. If you want to try and use it throughout the lap, it will gain you a lot of lap time. Late apexes are the key around the circuit, as you can see Devon does do. And then on the exit here, bring it to the right hand side immediately. Don't hang to the left because you want some time to make sure you open up the next corner, which is a very short run too. Now you've got a kind of mini straight here, not really a straight, but then you've got a couple of easy corners coming up that you can relax on. Triple right-hander. Is that a triple right-hander? Triple right-hander, but it's very easy to get a track limit if you're not careful. Then the high-speed left, incredibly difficult to get right, especially with heavy fuel, but they managed to navigate it very well. Final corner and down the main straight. You've got to make sure that you nail that final corner, otherwise you're going to lose so much time as you go up to the line. What's it going to be for Devon Young? It's going to be a 20.3, 2.5 tenths almost improvement. That's a 0.3 just in front of the Peanuts though. Not that much difference.
I don't think you understand the importance of this qualifying session there, and these guys are 6 points difference in the championship in favour of Peanuts, who's just coming back into the pits at the moment. Devon might get a last run in if he's quick, but 6 points left, and how many rounds do we have to go? 7 rounds? 6 rounds?
Including this one, 6 rounds I believe, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, so 6 points, and these guys are always fighting at the front, so points difference is going to be minimal, and if Devon Young can scrape a win today, that'll bring him within 2 points of Peanuts. If he doesn't get the fastest lap, of course. And that's going to be very, very important for not only the drivers, but the Constructors' Championship as well. Obviously, Terence back again today for Aston Martin. He has some good points finishes over the course of the season, and with Algio not being there, this might give Aston Martin that very, very big boost that they need.
Of course, yeah, and after the last race, you can see the standings on the screen right now. After the last race, things did change a little bit. Devon did lose a little bit, but for the Constructors, it was absolutely mental. You can see Aston Martin take the lead of the championship. Red Bull taking a big hit, only having one driver in the running, and they continue to have that today. Whereas McLaren has got one driver as well, but more importantly, Aston Martin continue to have their 2 drivers showing up and scoring those points. So the tables have turned from Red Bull having a huge advantage, looking unstoppable, to now it being very, very tough indeed. Those standings are slightly wrong, not too wrong, so it's a very good picture of what the situation currently is, but it's, just a slight little adjustment can be made. Anyway, that's what it's looking like more or less. Devon Young still has the upper hand. A man who is not in the championship fight and is just going for pure pace is Senna. He's on an outlap right now. to start his final run of the session, just warming up those tyres by doing some brake dragging. Obviously not realistic, but it's something that you just have to do. It's the way the game works. Now, final corner around this circuit is not that deadly. So hopefully Senna doesn't crash into the wall this time. And also, the walls aren't that close. The only threat that he really has is crashing into the pit lane entry. Zingy, performance from Senna. Do you think if he can show all of his advantages around a circuit like this with the high speed, he'll be able to go for that win?
I mean, Senna, as he's joined, he's been one of the front runners, of course, throughout the season, just getting out of the way there of the AlphaTauri. And we've seen over the course of the season that he is there. He can fight for wins, he can fight for good positions always. And if he's just starting his lap now, we're probably going to see a very good pace from him once again. And it's not a surprise. Senna's is always known for being a good driver. And I think if he can get a good qualifying result here, third place in the Constructors, I'm looking right now, is more definitely out of the question. But just being able to solidify that fourth ahead of Haas, who are in fifth, will be very important to Senna. And if he gets a good lap in and gets a good result, he could jump up a lot in the championship standings.
He for sure can. There's a hell of a lot of traffic on exit. He managed to navigate it quite well. We'll see as we go over the sector line what his lap time's looking like. It is pretty much dead on, more or less. He's got a bit of time to gain if he wants to improve, and being in P6, he's got a fair bit to do. Not much time if he wants to improve ahead of Tom Brainer ahead. He does actually back off that lap and will not continue it. Now, I just want to quickly have a look at something. It was JJ disconnecting, I believe. Am I correct in saying? Hopefully he'll be able to get back in. But anyway, Charlie, in the meantime, going to set a P2 lap. And that will be it for him in qualifying already. So that is sorted. No questions asked for that one. Also, Devon Young in the pit lane. He will not be setting any more laps. That's Tom Brainer invalidating their final run. They will not be able to improve. We've got Stefano coming around the final corner into the pit lane. Matt Max in the pit lane. Cookie Monster on an outlap. Terrence, he's going to come across the line. What's it going to be for this man who's also giving his teammate a lovely tow again? Perfectly planned. He will not improve, but he is just going to help Peanuts to try and go for that all-important pole position. A swooping corner into turn one. Having that track advantage would be absolutely crucial. Very, very nice indeed to have. He doesn't need to gain much to look at this pole position here at Qatar. Charlie slap bang in the middle of the top three. Now, is there going to be any threats from behind? Will Becken be able to challenge? I'm not entirely sure. Peanuts is still giving it a very good shot though. Purple in the first sector. We continue through the middle sector. Very hard to get right with the late apexes. And then you get to the high speed. Not this corner that we're coming up to, but the next one. Incredibly easy to understeer out of if you're not careful. He keeps it nice and tidy, back on the throttle, just trying to not lose the time that he's already gained in that first sector. Now, across the sector line to see what time he's looking at. He's looking to go for a very easy pole position. He's just got to be careful, so close to track limits right there. He almost invalidated it. Final corner now to go. Down the gears, back on the throttle immediately. Final corner. Do not ruin it now, son. You've only got one more to do, and you are absolutely golden. DRS, I think that's going to look like pole position for Peanuts here across the line. What's the exact lap time going to be? It's going to be a 20.1. Awesome job in the end. Is Becken going to be able to challenge himself? He might have a go. He might have a go. Is it going to be front row at least? It's going to be pole position at 20.119. So small margins between these guys. Senna goes across the line to finish his session, and that's going to bump him up a few positions as well. Not quite pole, but an improvement at least for 5th place. Very, very nice stuff. That is a Swedish 1-2.
I mean, yeah, taking it at the last minute, that's Becken on pole with Peanuts P2, a Swedish front row, and Devon Young of P3 looking to capitalise on that, of course. But a sprint race is up next, of course, and that's going to determine the grid for the main race. So, do you reckon Devon's got a chance into turn one, or do you think he's got too short of a run to do anything with it?
I don't know. You've got to really think about it at this circuit because there's not really many places to overtake. So you've got to plan out your ERS usage. That'll be crucial, especially from others that will be maybe communicating. But yeah, we'll see in the sprint race. Ready. Hold. Go! Who's going to get it into turn one? We are away. Beckon off the line very, very well, but the Aston Martin not too sluggish either. He's going to have to slide for P2. Devon Young to the outside. He looks to the inside, but a bit too aggressive. He's going to have to back off. He still wants to try and get in front of his championship rival. Now to the inside line. He's got it done. Awesome opening lap there for Devon Young. It's not over yet, but it is a very good few first corners behind a few tussles for position, but it is more or less single file as we saw yesterday. Very easy to kind of get through, but that being said, not quite so easy for JJ and Cookie Monster, who have had some issues. That's Matt Max right behind them. Stefanio moves up ahead of Terence. He returns to LSI, making moves on the first lap, making a few too many moves as he wiggles the rear end. Unfortunately, that's not the way you want it to go, and he's going to have to immediately give that position away. But what a start from Devon.
Senna's round as he tapped Tom Brain in the back after he made a mistake. Senna just had to react and he couldn't on time tap the back of the Haas, and that's him around P11 for the Ferrari driver. I just said how well he could have done in this race to elevate him and Ferrari in the championship, but now him and JJ are both outside the points positions as Devon Young is going to go up the inside of Beckon into the last corner. These are crucial laps for Devon. He's got the pace. It looks as though he's going to put that McLaren under a lot of pressure, defending to the inside. Beckon is. Devon's going to try and swoop around the outside coming into turn one. Here we go. Who's going to be last on the brakes? It looks as though Devon is going to outbrake him just a little bit. He loses the corners, contact between the two of them, and that's going to allow Peanuts up the inside and around the outside for the next corner of his compatriot, and that's Peanuts now up into P2.
Oh, he slightly went off track limit, so he might have got himself a warning for that one, but Devon Young just about gets there. Stuck his nose in before the final corner just to try and force Beckon off an awkward line. That did, of course, threaten Peanuts into being able to go for that move as well, but a bit too tentative on the inside line meant he didn't quite get to go for the lead. That's why Beckon slightly went wide. Maybe a bit of a miscommunication creating that first contact. It didn't matter. The result stayed as it was going to be. Beckon sits now in P3. Charlie is right there, but just not quite in a position to make a move with that train. We've got Cookie Monster losing out to JJ, is that? And yeah, JJ making moves again.
You're saying about Charlie, how he's not making moves at the moment. He will be just saving ERS. Charlie is very smart when it comes to this. He's going to just wait for his time to shine. These guys inevitably will battle the top two, especially as they know how important it is for the championship, both in drivers and constructors. So Charlie just needs to see that opportunity and go for it. And we've got Beckon, who's obviously friends with Peanuts. They're not going to be working together as a team, but in a friendly way, they're going to give each other more space than what anyone else would. So they need to watch out for Charlie behind, and I'm sure they'll be communicating with each other to try and help keep Charlie behind.
Of course, DRS available on the next start-finish straight we will get to. Of course, not quite available at this lap because there is only one DRS zone available. Slipstream is pretty useful around this circuit, though, as we saw on the previous lap. ERS-wise, though, it's very easy to drain the battery. A sprint race will kind of make that not so important, but when we get to the main race, that is going to be the difference between winning and losing a Grand Prix. Incredibly difficult to save ERS, let alone in the race. It is also pretty hard to actually deal with it in qualifying, as you can run out if you're not careful. If you don't use it very well. But anyway, enough of that. We'll see how that goes later on, who uses the most, who uses the least. But Devon Young, he is trying to push right now. It looks like he's trying to create a gap. 7/10, not far off, but he's got still a bit of a way to go. DRS will be very powerful and completely obliterate that gap that he has.
Yeah, Peanuts is using a sprinkled battery. He knows what he needs to do. He doesn't need to push on the battery at all. Just a little bit coming out of some corners to maintain that 7/6/10s. And he looks as though he's actually touched the curb there, making a bit of a mistake, but thankfully for himself, he's got that DRS, and everyone within the top 7 has got it, going back to Stefanio, who's obviously returning once again. And it looks so, I mean, once you're out of the DRS, like Cookie Monster is, JJ is going to pounce around the outside, and without that DRS for the Williams driver, he's really struggling, and that is JJ now up into P8. I know he makes a mistake, and that's Matt Merck, sorry. That's him up into P9 as well, so Cookie Monster 2 positions lost. He made a bit of a mistake off the exit of turn 1, and that's him now down into P10.
Lovely move from JJ, committing to the inside line as soon as he cleared that Williams, as he's got a bit of experience from yesterday Of course, it was very, very treacherous and how it was gone about with the strategy. Very, very difficult to get right around a circuit like this, but it is what it is. Top 8 get points today. Senna goes for a fastest lap on a fresh set of mediums. He doesn't need to worry about that though, because we will be restarting after the sprint race, of course, to avoid any bugs. So you can go on whatever tyre you want and you're not going to worry about it. So fair enough. To Senna, going to get that in and just try and get some laps done. Ready for the main race, I'm sure. Devon Young leading the way, not by as much of a margin as we saw previously, of course. Maybe thinking, you know what, I'm not going to try and push as hard as I was earlier. I'm just going to try and win this Grand Prix in a smarter way. Don't let the other guys try and force me into mistakes. I'm just going to control the pace, control the race, and make sure that you think about yourself. Charlie looks like he might want to have a go for a move on one of the cars. Wants to try and get himself a bit further up the current train, as he's currently not in a great position sitting in P4.
Yeah, P4, but he's only 8 tenths off the lead. That just shows how close these guys are. You can just see any closer, Peanuts might actually hit Devon just because the advantage he had of the DRS. He didn't go for the move, he did back off. So he is waiting for a later moment in the race to make that move possible. But for now, he's just going to save battery, and it's just a waiting game until the last few laps. You just want to make sure you're in the best position you possibly can be. Save the tyres, battery, make sure the engine doesn't overheat, because that's very, very difficult around the track like Qatar, where the temperatures are sky high. And with that, you can notice a lot of mistakes from the drivers, not skill related, but the tyre temperature is going to go through the roof. It's night time, yes, but I mean, Aaron, you know around this track how hot it can get.
For sure. What would that mean for tyres? Because higher downforce, high speed, that means the softer tyres do work a lot better compared to higher compounds. But tyre temperatures, would it even be worth them going for a soft tyre?
If they've got the temperature at the pressure's low enough, they might as well try. And someone who might try into turn 1 will be Peanuts on the back of Devon Young again. 4 tenths back this time, a bit further back than what he would have liked to be. But I think again he's just going to stay behind, and it's just going to be a game of cat and mouse waiting for that opportunity. Charlie doesn't look like he's sticking around though, he wants to get that move done. But Becken's using all his battery, and Peanuts up the inside into turn 1. I don't think he meant that in a manner to overtake, but just to defend from the McLaren behind, he went for that move. Becken's made a massive mistake, and what did I tell you about tyres? They're very, very hot, and Becken's made that mistake, and that allows Charlie up into P3.
Big shame there for Becken. He is the solo McLaren today, so he's got to make sure that he scores points. A championship contender at the beginning of the season, dropping off here and there, unfortunately not able to have amazing races now and again. He's been very unlucky this season, I will say that for sure. Wiggling a little bit on the traction, got to be super careful. He brings Terence back into the DRS train, and that's brilliant for Aston Martin, because now they can make sure that they secure their both cars up in the points. So yeah, brilliant for Terence, not great for Becken. Becken has really got a lot of pressure on his shoulders right here, because the constructors are still in reach for McLaren. He's just trying to make sure that he has a bit of damage limitation compete against the other guys today.
Yeah, of course. It's oh no, Charlie gets a 3-second time penalty. He did make a mistake, I was going to mention that, but I didn't realise he was already on 2 warnings. Charlie now with a 3-second time penalty, and that's going to allow Becken and Terence, 2 of the constructors' rivals, up into P4 and 3. I'm not too sure about Mercedes' standpoint, but that's going to help both teams behind him, and Haas as well, which could still challenge Ferrari, of course, with them being P8 and P11 respectively. So it's all wide open here as Charlie got that penalty, and of course on track he'd like to finish P3, but at this rate it's not looking too good for them.
Time penalty wise, of course, for the main race it'll be even more so, but I just want to have a quick look. Lap 7 out of 10, not long to go. After that mistake there from Becken, it looked like Devon decided he was going to try and push. He got that gap to 9 tenths before the DRS straight. That is a DNF from JJ. That's going to be a full safety car on the last couple of laps of the race. It's going to bring Senna into contention. Are these guys going to bother going for pit stop, because we're going to go pretty much racing more or less immediately? I don't know. We're going to have 1 lap under the safety car, aren't we? So we'll see. Will we see soft tyres from these guys? They have free tyre choice. Free tyre choice.
Well, this one person that helps a lot is Devon Young. You might not think it, everyone gets to reset, but with him having low battery, you'll have 100% when it restarts. There's not going to be any DRS for anyone behind. It's just going to be pure slipstream. And so this is really helpful. It's helped Devon more than anyone else, who will come into the pits. Peanuts really forceful, try to get in. Beckon, did he overtake Charlie there coming into the pits? I think I just missed it there.
He did.
Yeah, he's overtaken Charlie. Let's see if anyone else goes for moves. Not at the moment. Everyone's slowing down. Very, very slow. Almost into the back of Devon Young. Peanuts was. The Red Bull mechanics and everyone else with the soft tyres, of course. With only a few laps to go, you might as well just slack on those soft tyres. And it looks as though, Terrence actually is going to get held in the pit lane here. He could have stayed out and potentially got the win, but he's going to come in for that soft tyre. I don't know if everyone else is. I think everyone on the grid, with the exception of Senna, who's 40 seconds back, he just needs to catch up. And Matt Merckx actually leads the Grand Prix, so he's going to be going to the end on that medium tyre. It shouldn't be too worn out at this stage, but of course we know the soft tyres, fresh soft tyres, will be much more advantageous to everyone behind than Matt Merckx used mediums.
Yeah, all he's got to do is make sure he has a bit of damage limitation. Don't fight the cars around him. Avoid getting off a racing line that's going to make him slower and allow the other guys to make easier moves, but also not get any time penalties. Now, the advantage of him staying out has meant that he's met the safety car earlier. That safety car then starts moving. It's going to come in at the end of this lap. So that gives kind of a few cars less time to be able to catch up, and more notably Senna, less time or no time to catch up. So unfortunately, unless he's very, very lucky, he might lose out. Of course, the safety car, not being a Formula 1 car, doesn't have as much downforce as these guys do when in the high-speed corners. So maybe he'll be able to catch up quite nicely, but he's going to have to push to the absolute maximum. Otherwise, he might be in a bit of trouble. But Matt Merckx leads the Grand Prix. He will be going for that restart. We saw, of course, everyone dive into the pit lane. Devon Young trying to be a little bit competitive, play it a little cautious, of course, as he was not quite looking to go into the pit lane, just seeing what Peanuts did. And then Peanuts dived to the right-hand side, and so did Devon. He reacted accordingly to make sure that he was on exactly the same tyre. So regardless of what Devon did, Peanuts was going into the pit lane for that set of medium tyres. Now, Matt Merckx leads the way. Senna might, if he's very, very lucky, catch up if Matt Merckx doesn't go until the last minute. The safety car comes into the pit lane right about now, and he will be able to go for it at any point. Matt Merckx leads the Grand Prix. What a sentence, very nostalgic. Devon Young is the one to react. When will he go for it? That safety car is all gone, and he's gone for it already. Brilliant restart for Devon Young, but he can't go for that move. He can't go for that move just yet. Now he can go for it, and he's going to take the lead of the Grand Prix immediately, surely with that tyre, and it's not going to be a contest. He's given it his best shot. Behind it is all a little bit messy. Peanuts holds on. Beckon up ahead of Charlie. There's contact almost between Tom Brainer, who gets in ahead of Terrence, of course, under pit stops. That is an awesome job there from Tom Brainer, but very, very close to contact. That was almost ending in tears. Peanuts trying to get through. Beckon also. Charlie has an opportunity to get a double move here. He's going to get the double move, and Beckon's forced off the circuit, going to lose out to the Haas too.
Yeah, these guys having a lot of battles. Matt Merckx has no grip on that medium tyre compared to everyone else on the soft. Matt Merckx gets a penalty for going off track. Beckon is up the inside of Tom Brainer. It's going to switch to the inside for the Haas driver. Diving down the inside, the Haas driver will doing a Charlie-esque move there. And it's going to be him up into P4. Matt Merckx trying so hard to get back at Tom Brainer, but with that tyre advantage, he just can't do anything. Beckon dropped down to 6th during all that. He just can't seem to find a way past AlphaTauri, unlike everyone else. And defending into this fast left-hander is not going to do him any favours, losing the back end, and now he's going to allow Stefano to perhaps get into the action, as he's actually hit Matt Merckx. They've both went off track, and there goes Stefano up the inside of both of them. Terrence is going to take advantage of this too, up into P6, and with the last lap of the Grand Prix just starting, Devon's got a 1.8 second advantage over anyone else.
I do not believe what I'm seeing. Tom Brainer's looking for a podium if he can stay within time penalty range, and Beckon can't do anything with that damage. He's just got a severe amount of understeer. Senna's going to make the move on him. That is absolutely tragic. 1 point is still up for grabs. These guys have time penalties. He might be able to get 1 point. Senna's going to take that away immediately unless two people get severe amount of penalties. I think he's lost out, unfortunately. What a shame there for Beckon. It was just basically just luck. Whoever had the right car position on when they were behind, of course, Mac's car, whoever was in the best position would get that move, and unfortunately Becken just didn't choose the right moment, and then making that contact, giving him damage, has just put him in such a tragic position. Charlie following, Peanuts closely behind, not going to need to make that move, of course, of time penalties. Tom Brainer gets himself a time penalty. Stefanio is now all of a sudden looking to make that on Tom Brainer. I don't know if he'd be on for a podium. We're going to go around the final corner, and we're going to see Devon Young taking the win in Qatar, closing up a very small amount to his championship rival. Peanuts will take a comfortable P2 of Charlie getting that penalty. Tom Brainer, Stefanio, P3 on return to LSI. Incredible stuff. That's Charlie, then Tom Brainer, Terence, and Senna. Senna getting up at the final stages. Just imagine if he didn't make a pit stop.
Yeah, Senna, of course, he could have had a very, very good chance at the end there if he stayed out. But unfortunately for Ferrari, it's not too many points. But for Devon Young, for him and Red Bull, that's a race win, and that brings him much, much closer to Peanuts. That'll be 5 points now, the advantage for the Aston Martin driver. And it looks so, with the race and the pace that Devon has shown, he could have a chance of closing that in even more.
For sure, he for sure can. And Becken, to be honest, didn't actually do a bad job at all by holding on to the back of those guys. So fair play to him. Not the race that he wanted, though. Devon Young takes the win. Peanuts Stefanio in P3. Incredible stuff. We'll be back for the main race after a quick restart. We'll see you in about 10 minutes. Ready? Hold! Go! Who's going to get it into turn one? An incredibly quick launch. Devon Young off the line very well. Yet again, the outside line being superior as that's Stefano into P2 immediately. That's a big bit of desync, unfortunately. Looks like that's Peanuts who suffered from that desync. Hopefully that is the last we see of it. Luckily, he's not got any damage. That's all we can say. Tom Brainerd to P3, Charlie to P4, and Peanuts down to P5, of course, with his teammate immediately behind him. He's got pressure from Becken, who is going to be raring to go after that troublesome sprint race finish, of course, but all on the hard tyres. It's not easy to make moves. Charlie, however, going for slightly different tyre to start this race. Singy, what tyre should you be on?
Well, the best strategy, of course, is starting on the hards, then going to mediums, but it looks as though Devon wanted to stretch that advantage with Stefano behind him, who showed good pace, but with raw pace, from what I understand, Devon's very good around these very high-speed tracks, and we were looking to pull away from the rest of the field. Tom Brainerd and P3 will be a big cork in the bottle with that soft tyre on. Charlie on the mediums too, and the first hard runner is actually Peanuts, as you said, with a bit of desync or lag or whatever it might have been. He's P5 at the moment. He's going to have to try and overtake Charlie, but we all know that Charlie's not going to make that very easy for the Aston Martin drivers. That's Stefano off. He's made a mistake in the last corner and he's spun. That's him down the order, and that's him down at the back of the field. So for P2, that's him down to P10. Unfortunately, he had such a good weekend to start off with, but now that mistake and that spin has now cost him that position.
What a shame to go down that far, but luckily it's happened at the beginning of the race and not at the end where it really matters. What a shame, I have to say, but he's still there, not too far away. He can still make some good advances later on in this race. Senna as well, having issues at the start, but he is not too far away either. He has the pace. Tom Brainerd up to P2, unleashed, and now he can really use these soft tyres to his advantage. It is possible to do a soft hard. That is one of the recommended strategies. That is Matt Merckx off as well. Both AlphaTauri's having issues as that's contact between him and JJ.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what happened there. I just caught a glimpse of it. Matt Merckx was spinning and it looks as though he got in the path of JJ. He seems to be very, very, very angry, shaking wheel, frustrating, as he was on the good strategy, the hard medium, but with that loss of front line now, he's got to just compose himself, get into the pits, because we all know a safety car could come out at any point during this race, and yeah, struggling, but he can never give up, as Senna did, and he got a few points for Ferrari, and that's him up into P7. He's 4 seconds though behind the chasing pack, and it looks as though that these medium tyres are good for now, but by the time Senna catches up, or if he even does catch up, all the tyres have went off at that point.
Yeah, it's a big question. We've got Terence defending from Becken, trying to help his teammate out. It's not quite worked as maybe as he would have hoped, but he's still holding on very well, and that is a bit of a legendary moment right there for Terence. He's doing everything that Aston Martin is asking for, holding back Becken. The McLaren team, they just want to make sure that they can try and outscore them, or at least prevent them from getting as high up as they possibly can. Getting both cars in a point scoring position today would be absolutely mega, regardless of their result. Obviously P10 and 9 isn't great, but P2 cars in the points, that is what they've got on the table, and over Red Bull, over McLaren, it's guaranteed. Of course, compared to the other guys, that is Terence going a little bit aggressive over the track limits as he almost extends a mid, probably got himself a warning, but in the meantime Becken lost the car. He's at the back of the train now, and losing the car is not going to help you maintain it, because that slipstream train is going to be absolutely nuts and incredibly difficult to be able to hold on to. I have to say though, Devon Young, Tom Brainerd breaking away a little bit here on the soft tyre, of course, Tom Brainerd, but Charlie doesn't have DRS. He's not going to be there, and that might be game over.
Yeah, Charlie making a bit of a mistake out of that last corner. Peanuts getting DRS from 8/10 back. Charlie might just have to wait here, as Tom Brainerd's not going to do any of that for much longer. He's going to go up the inside of the Red Bull of Devon Young, and that's going to be Tom Brainerd in the lead of the Grand Prix. Tom always seems to get a good result, good start to the race, but can never finish it off. And now in the lead of the Grand Prix with seemingly great soft tyres. I wouldn't have imagined it. Can he perhaps, maybe not pull a gap because they will fade away, but can he maintain position, or perhaps just stay with the train when his tyres do die off and commit to that soft medium?
It's very possible. Regardless, being in the lead of the Grand Prix, it's one of the problems that Tom Brainer has had. Being in the mid-pack, having issues, which has really prevented his results from being good. When he hasn't had that issue, and he's been at the front, then he's been able to get incredibly good results, getting 3 podiums so far this season. Of course, except from Japan, the 2 races before that. He's got 2 podiums in the past 3 races. So he's once again showing what he can do. Of course, he's on that opposite tyre, but I think that is just part of the plan, really. And it might well work. It's going to be a difficult one. It's a very unorthodox one, but it can work quite nicely. That is Devon Young right behind, looking to make that move incredibly quick, as that is Tom Brainer making a mistake and immediately moving to the right to let Devon Young go. They're not going to try and hold him on, or hold him off, I should say. But Charlie losing about half a tenth as the 2 cars ahead were kind of running as they were, but not close enough, but did gain a bit of time on that straight.
I'm just noticing that Peanut's pace behind Charlie. Charlie is just struggling to keep in DRS. He uses a bit of battery there, and is it now within that 1 second? That is crucial, because that's going to allow Peanuts on the hard, the best strategy as well, the hard tyre to mediums, up into this top 4 DRS train. Becken and Terence not too far behind. Terence showing good pace for Aston Martin as well. Of course, them in that championship battle for the constructors. And it looks as though if these guys battle for any longer, it's going to be a 6-car battle once again for that first spot. But they need to watch out for, I know he's 7 seconds behind, but Senna, he could undercut them with a few laps, get onto that harder tyre, and gain about maybe 4 seconds, depending on how early those medium tyres wear off. So it's all up in there at the moment. Senna seems to be struggling, of course, but you never know what can happen at Qatar. It's a very, very tricky track. And we've seen, with Tom Brainer now losing DRS, that the tyres could just go off in an instant.
Yep, for sure. The temperatures are absolutely mental. The tyre wear is absolutely crazy as well. Tom Brainer not able to hold on for too much longer. Getting the good start, now looking to try and focus on extending these tyres as much as they can. They want to try and go to the hards, I'm assuming, but it might actually be more of a soft medium they're looking at and hoping for a lucky place safety car. Now, Charlie got a phenomenal launch past Tom Brainer there and is within DRS range, so he might have got a bit of a lifeline here. And now, can he try and hold on to the leader and still make this race a bit more lively, rather than Devon Young breaking away like he did in Saudi Arabia a few races ago, absolutely dominating.
For P4, it's 12 points, correct?
Yes, it is.
Oh, Tom Brainer, sorry, he's made a bit of a mistake, and Peanuts is going to go up the inside. Will he be able to get the position, touching wheels just a little bit on the exit? Tom Brainer is going to have none of it, swooping around the outside, and that's a great defensive driving from Tom Brainer there. Still up in the P3. Becky made a bit of contact with Peanuts. And Tom Brainer, although he's lost TRS, he's still holding on for dear life, wanting that podium position. He's been driving so well as of recent, but he's just never been able to see it through to the end. And now with this P3 on the card, he does not want to let it go. Even if that costs Peanuts potentially the lead of the championship, as you say, 12 points for P4 compared to Devon's 20. It's the he touches Tom Brainer. He touches Tom Brainer on the exit. He looks at the car once again, and that's going to be definitely looked at. Peanuts obviously up into P3 now, but with that, with touching Tom Brainer, that was a bit dodgy. With the DRS now, you can see that Becken is also going to get past the Haas driver, and it looks as though at this point Tom Brainer's tyres have just finished.
He's trying to fight for the final little bit that he can with these tyres, but it's game over on the straight, also losing the position, of course, to Becken. I think that was inevitable either way, and this wouldn't have changed, but unfortunately that contact happened. You never want to be gaining a position like that. That is absolutely tragic there. Not only for Tom Brainer, but for Peanuts on a brilliant strategy. He does not want that to be happening for his championship. You can't afford to get into any incidents. Now, yeah, I don't know what to say. 1.6 seconds now behind the other guys, not too far away. Becken, incredibly racy. He was very close to the back of Peanuts there. As you said, Zingy making contact with Peanuts at this very corner right here, preventing Peanuts from being able to go for kind of a switchback manoeuvre and getting a better run. So yeah, it's all a little bit close. They all want to try and get in front. That's going to be Tom Brainer losing the car a massive amount. He's going to have to make a pit stop surely.
Yeah, I don't know what that slide was on about. It looked very, very odd. Not something you'd see of really anyone, but maybe the tyres are just giving up so much to the point where Tom Brainerd just doesn't know how to cope with them. And with Terence having DRS, he's been showing good pace, as I've said before. And with that hard tyre, which is going to go quite a long way into this race, will we be able to make the move? And someone who actually has made the move into P1 is Charlie Becken going up the inside of Peanuts as well. It's all shaking up here at the front. It looks as though Becken and Charlie have made the move both. So Charlie up into P1 and Becken up into the podium positions. Here comes Stefanio down the inside of Senna into one. Senna struggling with a lot of pace. And it looks as though Stefanio is going to make that move up into P7.
Making that comeback, doing what he needed to do, and he's come back from a long way right there, of course. The train up ahead has gained a massive amount. That is just the, I was going to say beauty or nightmare of a circuit like this, Qatar, with a lot of high-speed corners and the straight line speed. The straight lines being so long, it means that the trains are even more powerful than ever, and you lose a gap like that, 10 seconds. It's absolutely mental. Of course, he was about, what, 6 seconds away anyway, so he's lost about 4 seconds from being out of the train. Basically, it's incredibly tough, but it is what it is. Of course, we've got the both medium tyre runners at the lead and the hard tyre runners in P3 and P4 making their switches. Becken showing some great pace, Charlie showing some great pace, but Devon Young, like he did with Tom Brainerd early on, just being able to follow the car ahead incredibly closely. That just seems to be the advantage that he has, and he's able to make that a great feature in his racecraft, putting the pressure on the other cars, whereas maybe outright pace just didn't have it on Charlie over the last couple of laps.
Yeah, Terence making that move up into P5 on Tom Brainerd. His tyres are surely gone. If you want to just look on board with him, Aaron, real quickly, you can just see a bit of peeling going on, and you can see the inside of the tyre just doesn't look too healthy. And on the outside as well, you can just see the different shade of rubber, which means that the tyres are starting to really go off. So he needs to maybe think of a pit stop soon. He wants to probably extend it to lap 11 or 12 to get onto that fresh medium, which can take him to the end. It will be tricky, but with that major undercut, he will probably rejoin back in the lead of the race, just about, but then he'll have to do it all over again, but this time defend and not make any mistakes.
Yeah, it's a big task that he's got. It's the strategy that he's chosen, it's the risk that he's taking, and with, of course, free tyre choice, I've messed it up again. Free tyre choice, you are able to do whatever you want because you've got absolutely everything to play with, so you don't need to worry about not having enough tyres, of course, because they've got everything fresh. Now, they are going to go into the pit lane eventually. They've done a very good job to get that done, and to be honest, done a very good job to be able to stay as close as they have been. We're going to have to go with the race leaders, as that looks like Charlie had a look, but he's actually decided not to go for the lead this time, so maybe looking to try and focus on just carrying their advantage as the medium tyre runners and trying to prevent those hard tyre runners catching up sooner rather than later. Tom Brainerd onto the mediums. What's Sunday going to do behind him?
I just wanted to note something, that Senna's put onto the mediums, of course. He just came off the mediums, I'm sure. So he's going to do the two-stop, but I was wondering if you knew if he had damage or not, because his pace has been absolutely horrendous. And no offence to him, he's a great driver, but this is not something we expect of someone who's, I don't know if he's won races, but he's definitely been up there in contention as he crosses the pit line, so that's going to be a penalty forthcoming. But Senna, he's just not been on it today. It didn't seem to have that urgency to push as hard as he can, and he seems a bit under the limit, so I don't know if he's got maybe floor damage or he's just struggling mentally, but it just seems very odd, doesn't it, that he's just not got the pace at the moment.
It is very odd, and it would make sense, but he's really struggling with these cold tyres, dipping a wheel into the gravel, so his teammate is going to catch up. He does have seemed to read the rule book, because pit lane entry you're not allowed to cut, but pit lane exit you can at your own risk, and he's done it. So He has gained a bit of time by doing that. The time that he will have needed to gain to be able to maintain that position over his teammate. Of course, already getting that time penalty, which isn't ideal. We've got our next pit stop runner on the medium tyre. So, could we expect to see Devon Young and Charlie to go into the pit lane soon? Stefano gets a 5-second, a little bit over aggressive on pit lane entry. A very difficult pit lane entry to get right because of the track surface. What a shame for that to happen right there. He's going on to another set of mediums. I say them another set of another set of mediums. So we're going to see some medium softs going on right now. But is that a little bit too early, really, looking at the pace that Tom Brainer had?
Yeah, I'm not too sure about this two-stop here, Aaron. I know the pace on new tyres is amazing compared to old, but I don't reckon it's that such that you can do that two-stop and make it work. These guys obviously doing their own race. I think Stefano was just trying to cover off Senna and just copy the strategy he's doing. But even if he pitted onto that hard tyre, I reckon he could just go to the end, no bother. And he could defend from Senna for a few laps and mess up his strategy. But these guys are free to do whatever they want, and I think he's just trying to cover off that Ferrari and just get some good points for AlphaTauri. P7 wouldn't be bad on his return, if I'm not wrong. It's a return, yes.
Sure, yes.
So
it would be great points.
So yeah, good points is usually what you want. Is Devon Young is just going to let Charlie go into turn 1, and it looks so these guys are just going to try and help each other as these hard tyre runners are really coming into fruition at the moment with Becken and Peanuts. Becken looks as though he's got a tiny bit more pace than his compatriot Peanuts, but I think Peanuts in a way knows the situation, is just trying to save battery and make sure he's okay for the latter part of the race.
Looking to make the McLaren do all the hard work, really, and just sit behind. Obviously, it's not easy, but with that DRS, and of course with Becken not having DRS, it does make it even easier for him to follow the car ahead. And we saw that with Charlie and Devon Young. Becken was almost within DRS, very, very close, but just loses out because of the guys in front punching a hole in the air for each other. And then they managed to make that gap basically 1.3 seconds by the end of the straight. However, this time around, I think Becken's done enough. He might be able to get DRS here. This is the changeover point for the tyres. Will they try and continue for a few more laps as they can defend from the McLaren driver by being in this DRS train, or are they going to immediately react and go to the pit lane? I say that, he's just about lost out, but Charlie goes in.
I don't know if Becken got a DRS there. It was fluctuating between 900s in a second. Coming across the detection point now, he's not got the DRS, and that light is flashing, that light is blinking. That means he's got less than 10%. Peanuts is going to see this, and he's going to take that as an opportunity to perhaps overtake just before the pit stops. Of course, going on to that faster medium tyre. They will catch the hard runners eventually, and they want, well, personally, I'd want to be in front of the car who's on the same strategy as me when catching up to the slower cars, because that will help you a lot when it comes to the end of the race, positioning that car correctly and being able to really make the most of that medium tyre.
For sure. And Charlie making a decision to go into the pit lane, going to get that slightly bigger undercut, although he's gone again for a set of mediums, so he's going to be making another pit stop. Whereas Becken and Peanuts, they have a bit of an easier time of being able to just go to the medium tyre. They have to get the move done on track over Devon. Devon was able to start a little bit longer because he got that DRS. So even though he was all on his own out there, he had a bit of an advantage, an easier time to be able to maintain a gap from the cars behind. And he's actually pushed a lot more this time round. Whether that be ERS for Becken or for Devon pushing, I don't quite know, because it doesn't look like Devon's actually pushing. He might just continue and see how far he can really go on this tyre.
Tom Brainer extending track limits just there, getting that 3-second time penalty as Devon Young responds to Tom Brainer and Charlie's call to go into the pit lane. He's going to have to get it slopped down nicely, just about keeping it under 50 mile an hour, which is the speeding limit for here. And he's going on to another set of mediums. Have I missed something with the F1 game? Because I have been away for a little bit, as you guys know. I don't understand why people are going for the 2-stop. I thought the 1-stop would be much faster around this track anyway.
I think it can be a factor, of course. The difference with this kind of strategy, of course, will be kind of... oh wow, that is a big undercut there for Tom Brainer. He's going to jump in front of Devon Young right there. Those cold tyres are going to be absolutely treacherous here for Devon Young. So fair play for Tom Brainer. He's got a lot more tyre wear on that car, so he's going to have to make a bit of an earlier pit stop. But he can go to another set of mediums immediately. He doesn't need to bother about going for softs, so he can just pit within the next couple of laps really and get a severe undercut, so he might be okay. Obviously that time penalty doesn't help, but others might be getting them a little bit later on. Now what I wanted to say, the different strategies of course do really raise some questions. If you're on a harder tyre, you're going slower, you might, there's another time penalty, you might just about save a bit more fuel.
Sorry. Becky made a mistake as he had that time penalty. It wasn't just him extending, he went wide and lost a few tenths. This is going to allow Peanut, surely now he's got to make the overtake stick. He knows that he's got a time penalty and he needs to go make the move before he come into the pits to have the best chance against the other medium runners down into turn 1. He's realised what he needs to do, and that's Peanut's up into P1. They are now on lap 15 and in the hard tyres. Surely these guys are going to do the one stop and just try and take it to the end from here.
I think they can do. It's much safer whether they go for the mediums or they go for the softs at the end. It's looking like for the other guys, they're probably going to be going for the softs, of course. We'll see. But that is Devon getting in front here of Charlie. Charlie getting that fastest lap, so being absolutely rapid, but Devon not quite getting a full lap in. Now he goes for that full lap. Tom Brainer unfortunately losing the car on the exit of turn 1 when that overtake happened, and that is going to be it for them. So down the order, they've still got a long time away of course from the cars behind who are battling a little bit. That is Stefano and Senna, but it's not what he's looking for. It's a chance to get up the podium with a very different strategy, which is unfortunately going to be kind of unwound really. We'll see how it goes. Peanuts, will he go into the pit lane this lap? As I was saying before, of course, harder tyre, you're going to be going a little bit slower. You'll probably not use as much fuel. So maybe you can kind of go a little bit lighter with the car. It's all in theory though. It really depends on what you're going to try and do. Very close to speeding into the pit lane as you get an all of a sudden downhill little bit of a moment there as you go into the pit lane entry. You've got to be incredibly careful with that one because you can get an easy penalty. Terence is going to stay out as he kind of has to with his teammate, of course. A bit of lag again for Peanuts as he almost loses it in the pit lane to Becken. Now they come out in a comfortable P4 and Tom Brainer is not going to be contesting them after that mistake, so they've got a bit of free clean air. They've actually been gifted a massive amount, and not because Tom Brainer's slow, because he is a very quick guy, but he's on 6 lap old medium tyres compared to the fresh ones, so that is a massive help for these guys, and they're looking to go all the way to the end, whereas the other guys, they could not, because I forgot, the rule. So they have to go for the softs. I reckon lap 20, although, I don't know, really lap 21, 22 is where they're looking for, of course, because the tyres don't last that long, but that does mean that they have less time, less laps to be able to catch up, of course, at the end. So the later stages of the Grand Prix are going to be absolute hell for these guys going for the more aggressive strategy. It's just whether they're willing to take that risk, of course. Devon Young, he has got a bit of an easier time without that time penalty, but taking more risks mean that he's probably going to extend track limits a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. Of course, Terence coming into the pit lane right now, Charlie having the penalty, I should say. And I don't know, Aaron, I don't see this strategy working. They're only 6 seconds behind on fresher tyres. And unless that soft tyre is magnificent and the tyres they're on right now are good to go to the end, I don't see this two-stop working. Terence obviously coming in, he's going to be on the freshest tyres on the field. He's going to come out just behind Tom Brainer, I think, coming into turn 1. Tom Brainer on the left-hand side of your screen, and that's him up into P5. Terence with 7 lap fresher tyres. We've seen before, I think in Singapore, he had a bit fresher tyres and was able to push with them. So him with the fresher tyres now, will he be able to get back up into those good points positions? He doesn't have a penalty at the moment. I'm not too sure about warnings, but this is a good chance for Aston Martin to gain some points back on everyone else.
That's going to be around 13, 14 seconds that he's got to the kind of net race leaders, really, Devon and Charlie, who have, by the way, broken apart from DRS, so this is not going to be ideal for Devon's race. But either way, his strategy is looking very, very difficult. Now, Tom Rainer's going to try and hold on with everything he can. He can go to the end in theory on this tyre, but it's going to be incredibly difficult, maybe even impossible, dare I say it. So I think maybe it's looking like he's just going to have to let Terence go through. I don't know, we'll see if he does take that risk and tries to fight it a little bit more, but Terence looking like it's going to be a very easy move, not really pushing massively, just waiting for that start-finish straight.
Yeah, Terence with the fresh tyres, of course, 7 laps fresher, as I just said. He's got the battery, he's got the car performance, he's got the DRS, sorry, the slipstream. He's got all of it in his favour, and he's going to go up the inside of Tom Brainerd. He can't even defend. Look at the straight line speed of that Aston Martin into turn 1. That's a great move by Terence, a simple one, but a very important one for his race. And now he's got 8 seconds to catch to Beckett. With that time penalty, it's only going to be 5 seconds. And so he's going to have to push hard, but he's shown good pace, and with that a little bit fresher tyre, it looks as though he has that advantage and can take it perhaps to the McLaren.
Of course, yeah, and it's very difficult to send and make moves on the corners, so there was no chance of Tom Brainer making that back. Oh, and that is a big moment there for Stefano. Very, very close. I was going to say Beckham and Peanuts working together. In the meantime, these guys are not working together. Senna and Stefano fighting hard in the first sector, but as soon as we get to the second sector, unfortunately, Stefano getting a massive snap of oversteer, loses the car, 7 seconds behind. That battle's done for the moment. However, a 3-second penalty for Senna. Maybe Stefano can come back from this. He's got a big gap for the cars behind though, so it should be a P8 more or less secured, but time penalties. We're going to have a quick look at these guys with Tom Rainey getting another. That is now 6 seconds to his name, 3 seconds for Beck and 3 seconds for Charlie. And a 3 seconds for Matt Merckx. Other than that, everyone's got a little bit more. Beckett and Peanuts yet again switching positions on the straight, just working together with a bit of a masterclass at the moment, trying to minimise time loss that they have to the medium tyres ahead, of course. So are Charlie and Devon trying to minimise the time loss to the other guys' strategies. But 6 seconds, then going on to a set of softs for less than 10 laps. They're going to have a massive amount of work to do. That's going to be, what, I don't know, 15 seconds to try and catch in 10 laps. That's just unreal.
If you just change the interval to the leaders rather than the car ahead, you'll see that Beckett is gaining on Devon. Peanuts is gaining... No, sorry. Beckett is gaining on Devon and Charlie along with Peanuts. And then Terence is catching a lot to Beck and Peanuts and Devon. So at the moment this 2-stop could work in the matter that they're going to get a good position, but I feel so learned that they just threw away a race win with this 2-stop strategy. I said it when he came in, I was a bit confused, and you can see the gap closing up visibly and on the timing sheet that I just don't think it's working out for these two today. Devon had a great chance as he overtakes Charlie for the lead once again. He had a great chance, Devon and Red Bull, to perhaps get that lead of the championship, but unless that soft tyre is about 2 seconds a lap faster per lap, I don't see any reason as to why he'd have a chance of winning this race.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult, and very recently Beckett has effectively gained what, like just over a second or just under a second to the race leaders. Whether that be a mistake or not, I'm not entirely sure, but anyway, Devon, Charlie, still working together, but in an incredibly difficult situation. That's a 5 second for JJ there, speeding into the pit lane as he goes once again for a fresh set of tyres. Going a long way on this tyre, going for his final pit stop onto that soft, maybe looking for an early fastest lap, but the other guys are going to go for a set of fresher tyres very soon and probably going to take away that fastest lap on even fresher ones, of course. Anyway, I couldn't say fresher any more times than I just did. 3.9 seconds now. That tyre advantage is absolutely massive. Maybe we're getting this completely wrong.
I don't know, man. It's really weird how this is all playing out. They're not coming into the pits yet, and at this rate, they're going to have to catch basically a pit stops advantage in about 7, 8 laps. And I get that the soft tires are going to be quicker, but the pit lane delta here, I think, is about 22 seconds going off just what I know, and I think How much is that per lap? 2 and a bit seconds per lap. I want to say 2.4 seconds per lap. There's a yellow flag. I don't know who it's for. It might just be for the lap car. Senna and Tom Brenner coming into the pits, both on the same lap tyres. It looks as though Stefano's got 3 seconds for corner cutting. And yeah, it's all just a bit up in the air at the moment, as I said. 4 seconds Beckon is to the lead of the Grand Prix now, and Terence is only 13 seconds behind the lead as well. So everyone is showing good pace at the moment on those fresher tyres, but the top two just don't seem to have anything left in that medium. They've pushed it hard, they went longer on the tyres, and it doesn't look like it's paying off at the moment.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Now, Peanuts has a bit of an advantage, of course. Beckon having that time penalty, he doesn't actually need to make that move on track. That's suggesting that time penalty is legitimate. This time, Senna extending his crossing pit lane exit advantages maybe a little bit too harshly. Unfortunately, gets himself another time penalty. We'll see how that changes the race for his battle with Stefano, of course. We'll find out, of course. And okay, there you go. Both drivers in the pit lane don't get any time penalties, and you'll be good to go. And it's going to be absolutely brutal. A yellow there for the AlphaTauri, but no safety car is deployed. So, unfortunately, not getting any safety for their sakes. That would have been absolutely crazy because the other guys will have, of course, gone past the pit lane. Now, that is Charlie having a massive lag spike, just about gets out of the pit box and is right behind Devon, of course, with that time penalty himself. So it is basically going to be working with Devon to try and catch up to the guys and maybe get Beckon, because they are on similar time penalty situations, but it's going to be very difficult.
Tom Brain around on that fresh soft, it's a bit cold. Looks as though he's just made a bit of a mistake in the fast section, it seems there. And Tom Brain, like I said before, he can get a good start, but he just can never seem to hold it out towards the end of the race. And that's him. He's lost a lot of time, and it looks as though that he's not going to gain much possessions out of this. It looks as though Stefano in the pit staring at 5 seconds, I think that was as well. Tom Brain up into P7, but he's got a lot of time penalties, and there's going to be people around him on a little bit fresher tyres. So it's not looking good for him at the moment, but he can still bring it back. He's still got a few seconds to send it, and he could catch up. The other cars, Devon, of course, Charlie, on that alternate strategy, they have got, how much is that? That is roughly 9 seconds to Terence, and they need to catch that within 7 laps. They can most definitely do that to the Terence, but to the top two, they've just pulled away so much this whole race, and I don't think they've got the facilities to catch up to them. So a P3 is on for Devon, but definitely not what he should be aiming for, considering how well he was doing in the sprint race.
Peanuts not winning a full main race for a long time. Won the sprint race in Great Britain, so this would be absolutely epic for his day. It would be tragic for Devon Young again, of course, having a very difficult time out in Japan, not having the race that he wanted at the end, despite being super quick for the majority of the race, losing that victory to Robbo in the end, and of course a lot of positions to a championship rival in the Aston Martin. Now, yes, Devon will be able to catch up, and I reckon he will be able to get in front of Terence. How early on will he be able to get there? I don't quite know, but Terence will be able to defend, and any bit of defence will be very useful for Peanuts. They are catching a massive amount, these guys on the softer tyres, as we saw from both Beckon and Peanuts, gaining on slightly fresher tyres compared to slightly worn tyres, despite being the same compound. It was absolutely epic. The advantage that they had. Now, this advantage will be absolutely nuts as well, but with a car in between who will probably decide to dump their battery and defend from the cars behind, I don't think it's going to be that easy.
Oh!
And he's got himself a 3 seconds, so Peanuts all of a sudden has an even easier chance at winning this Grand Prix.
And that's going to allow Charlie to get on the act here. Obviously, he just wanted to stay behind Devon and get towed along, but now with that advantage, they're both got a 3 second. Let me check here. Yes, they do. Charlie's going to want to go for the move fast lap as he does so into turn 1. I think they still will help each other, but towards the end of the race, if it doesn't look like they're going to catch Terence, they're going to battle amongst themselves, and that might give Aston Martin a double podium, and that's exactly what they need.
Devin Young's got an incredibly difficult chance in this championship at the moment. It's not gone his way at the beginning of the season. It came back in the middle, but then he's just had a couple of little blips here and there that have not necessarily been his fault. That time penalty, of course, is, and not exactly ideal, but just having little areas that just make it more difficult for him is incredibly frustrating. And now P5 it is. That's looking like what he might battle for, because Terence, he hasn't got a time penalty. If he does catch up, of course, that's great, but they have then got to break away 3 seconds from that Aston Martin, who is on the freshest tyre out of everyone in the top 3, of course. So, yeah, we'll see how that's going to go. Maybe some others get some time penalties, but Becken, Peanuts, looking for a very straightforward situation right here.
What about you? I'm getting a bit nervous sitting here watching this gap come down. I know they're going to catch eventually, but the issue is, how hard will Terence defend? He knows, he can see on the display that they've got a 3-second time penalty, the both of them. And I'm a bit nervous that something might happen, because there is also a lap car of Matt Marks in the way. He might have to just pull away from this the back of Terence and not have DRS, because these guys are going to battle, and if he does get in the way, he could get in a lot of trouble, of course. So hope for Matt Merck's sake and everyone else that it goes well. As you said, the Peanuts and Becken are going to have a simple time about it, 9 seconds ahead of Terence, who's again 3.5 seconds ahead of these guys who have got time penalties. So Peanuts is going to take an advantage in the championship once again. It has gone down to 5 points, but now it's going to extend even more towards 17 points, would it be?
Possibly. I'm not great at maths, so I'm not even going to try and confirm that.
12 points, sorry.
Okay, so 12 points. And yeah, that's 12 points that are incredibly valuable. And if you consider the fact that these guys regularly score points and barely kind of DNF or don't finish at all without any points, it basically means that you have to spend quite a few races to recover that. Charlie decides to go, not decides, but accidentally gets himself another 3-second penalty. So that now allows Devon to relax a little bit, not massively, just a little bit. Lap 26 out of 29. Terence is just there, still ahead by 2.7 seconds, still having the 3-second advantage as well. I reckon Terence might actually have a bit of an easier chance than we thought at getting this podium still over these guys.
Yeah, I'm trying to check time penalties. Of course, Charlie has a 3 seconds. Terence has 2 warnings, I know that. Devon, how many warnings does he have after the penalty? He has got 1, so he can afford to push track limits a bit. But if he makes a bit too many mistakes, he could also get a 6 seconds, and that Aston Martin would be great. That double Aston Martin podium would be great for them. And of course, Terence understands the situation. He knows for the constructors, they want to do well. Peanuts has talked to him about this before, and they really want to do well in this constructors. They have unmatched motivation compared to the rest of the grid. And I know Terence is definitely going to try and keep these guys out of DRS for one more lap, using a bit of his ERS to pull that gap out to 1.8 seconds again, 1.9 as he comes through the fast section. He can't hold as much speed through here as the other cars, and he just needs to be careful that he doesn't get a time penalty. He can afford for them to pass, but he could not get a time penalty under any circumstances. Charlie losing the back end once again as he tries to catch up to Devon, who seems to have a bit more pace than the Mercedes driver. And coming on to the last 3 laps of the Grand Prix, that gap is 1.7 seconds. That lap car might give DRS a bit earlier than what Terence would have liked, so I'm hoping he can get out of the way, but I'm not too sure what the situation would be there.
I feel like regardless, maybe the other guys might be able to catch up this lap. Those medium tyres aren't getting any younger. But yeah, I think Terence has actually done a phenomenal job to be able to still be in front without these guys getting time penalties. What I did want to say, of course, if you take away the start-finish straight with DRS between Peanuts and Becken, Terence has actually had exactly the same pace as these guys. He's been doing a phenomenal job. That DRS will not go to Devon Young from the AlphaTauri, but only 0.1 seconds away to get that DRS. That's going to be, yeah, absolutely perfect. Didn't actually get DRS from the AlphaTauri, so there was not really any advantage gained right there. A bit of a tow maybe, very distant, but they've got that gap now. I think it's going to be very good, but I don't reckon they're going to extend 3 seconds from Terence here. He's more or less matching the pace than the leaders of the Grand Prix. This is going to be phenomenal. It could be a double podium here for Aston Martin to extend their current championship lead.
Terence needs to defend here coming onto the straight. Devon with a good exit, of course, on those tyres. He's going to use the DRS. I don't know if Terence wants to defend too much. He doesn't want to lose too much overall time. Devon up the inside, coming just before turn 1, and that's him up into P3. Charlie behind, struggling a bit on the tyre wear perhaps. Terence, he could just stay in DRS and just try and stay there. He's got 2.5 seconds. Devon has shown a lot of pace recently. Those tyres are going off a little bit for both cars respectively, but I think the softs do obviously have a lot more pace than the medium at the moment. Devon just needs to push as hard as he can for this podium position, losing the back end such, and it looks as though he could not perhaps get the podium. Charlie losing the back end, nearly crashing into Terence once again, which I think this is what they did at Silverstone, so he does not want to repeat that once again. That would be absolutely horrific. Terence 6/10 behind these guys coming on to the last lap in just a moment's time. He's pushing the wheels off that car. Respect to him. Remember, he is in Hong Kong and it's very early in the morning for him, so being able to put in a shift like this early in the morning is very good for him and Aston Martin. Speaking of, it looks as though both lights are flashing on the top two. Coming onto the last lap in just a moment's time, around the last corner. I don't think on track Peanuts is going to get it, but with that DRS, he'll have every chance of doing so. Terence, does he get the DRS off of Devon Young? He doesn't. That's crucial. He needs to now hopefully hope that Charlie doesn't impede him too much. Coming onto the straight now, Charlie, will he use the battery? He's not using. Charlie's not using. I think he needs to save fuel. The fuel indicator is up on that Mercedes, and it looks as though he's just going to have to save behind Aston Martin, lifting off 200 metres before turn 1. So this is going to be very, very exciting to see if Charlie can make it.
Yep, very exciting as well to see if Terence can stay within time penalty range of Devon Young, and that would be a perfect day almost for the Aston Martin guys. This is exactly what they need to do. Terence has done what he needs to do, and then kind of realised, you know what, the gap is so big between Devon Young and the rest of the guys that he only needs to focus on himself now. He doesn't need to think about his teammate in this Grand Prix at all. So he is, doing a perfect job. 1.5 seconds. It's not going to look so straightforward. As these tyres get older and older and older, he might have some problems. Of course, Peanuts and Becken are on a lap older, so it does give him a bit of an indication that his tyres should be absolutely fine. I would have loved to have seen what percent these tyres are on, but we will come around the final few corners. We will get to see Becken and Peanuts cross the line almost neck and neck. Becken comes around the final corner. He'll cross the line first, but Peanuts is going to win the Qatar Grand Prix for the first time in a long time. He wins again in LSI. That's going to be Devon Young fighting hard to get that P3, but it's going to be a P4 as Terence is going to be there. He loses it to Charlie on the line, but it will not matter. Terence gets the podium position. Incredible job from him. Charlie P5. Senna is going to be in P6. He's got a long way to go before he finishes this Grand Prix though. P6. Time penalty wise, I think he'll be okay, although it's not exactly so straightforward, so wait and see how that one goes. But the race leaders, that was absolutely perfect. The standard strategy, more or less, worked as it kind of always does.
That was an intense finish to that Grand Prix. Devon almost got the P3 off of Terence, but with that consistent pace, in the lap later that he pitted, he had a lot of pace on those medium tyres, sticking with the leader's pace on the second stint, and that just got that P3. But Peanuts, for Aston Martin, he's won the race, and that's going to allow him to extend that championship margin by how many points would that be? 8 points. So now he is 13 points ahead in the championship of Devon, which is very, very complicated now for the Red Bull driver. And with the two Aston Martins on the podium, it's looking more and more likely that Aston Martin will claim the constructors.
For sure, it for sure does. And of course, Charlie getting that fastest lap. Extra for him, but away from Devon Young, wasn't able to get it. 22.8, so he absolutely smashed everyone else. Of course, at the top of the grid, but maybe that was because he had a really light car for most of the race, of course, with no fuel. But Well done, everyone. Becken, driver of the day. I have to say that's very well deserved. Having a terrible sprint race, scoring, I think, no points, from then crossing the line first, getting that P2, getting a great result that he hasn't seen in a while, having terrible luck. But this man is on the top step, and Aston Martin are in a very strong position. Peanuts takes the win, Becken in P2, then Terence. We've got Devon Young, Charlie of the fastest lap, Senna, Tom Brainer, JJ Stefano, and Matt Merckx in P10. No one DNFing, everyone scoring points. Going through the race director just in case if we need to. There's going to be a lot of track limit warnings around this circuit. And then we're going to go to the pit stop section, of course, as always. And yeah, we'll see you in a bit for the post-race interviews. Hello everyone and welcome to the post-race interviews of the Qatar Grand Prix. A very, very interesting one for sure. The championship is in a very crazy state. We start the interviews with Senna. Senna, that was a tough race. Just maybe not the best knowledge of the Qatar circuit, or just not really suiting your driving style?
Well, it wasn't either of the two because I forgot to choose my setup, so I drove the whole race with a default setup.
Ah, okay,
So
okay.
yeah, so I had to go 2 gears lower every corner almost, and like no downforce whatsoever. So yeah, I was very slow. So I was lucky to end up P6. I didn't. I literally in lap one I just thought I might as well retire because there's no incentive to drive. But then two people crashed and I was up to place already, and so I just kept going and I ended up P6 somehow. So
Yeah.
that's amazing
Yeah,
actually.
I mean, wherever you finish today, you would have scored points, so that will definitely help. Of course, you'll be able to bump
Yeah.
yourself up a little bit there. It's not exactly ideal, but it is what it is. Do you think if you did have a setup, you'd have maybe been able to compete with the top guys?
Yeah, I think so. My quali pace is never really good around here, but I did some laps during the sprint race and I found my pace pretty decent. So I think I would have been able to at least fight with them a little bit. But it's unfortunate, but it's damage control, I guess. And we move on to the next one. It was a fun sprint actually
For sure.
until
Looking to Zandvoort, do you think you can do well there? Do you like that circuit?
if I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't driven it this game yet, so we'll find out next week.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, it's a good circuit, I'll tell you that. It is one of the better ones on this game. But yeah, well
Okay,
done today. Great effort. Well done to stay in it with a default setup, and well done on the points. Thank you very much. And we'll see you next time. Well done today. Great effort.
thank you.
And we move on to interviews from Zingy with Peanuts to start with.
Well, Peanuts, P1 today, good race. I noticed that you've done the one stop in comparison to the two that most other people done. Can you just take me through the race and your thought process for that strategy?
So from my point of view, the one stop was quite clear from the beginning. Because I mean, I think there was like according to the sheet, like a 10-second offset from doing the one stop to two stop. So for me, the two stop was clearly the way to go, and I don't really know what people were doing, but I'll take it.
Of course, with that win, that takes you 13 points ahead of Devon in the championship with only a few rounds to go. So, for these last few races, what is going to be your strategy to push through to the end to win this championship?
Well, the thing is, my strategy is just to win the championship. I mean, try to outscore Devon each race, even though that is a lot harder task than what you would think it is, because Devon is crazy at the game. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, well, I also noticed that your teammate got P3 today. Of course, you're very big on the constructors' championship as well. You moved quite a few points ahead of Red Bull in the championship. How do you feel about your chance of winning the constructors ahead of them?
The thing is, from the beginning, I thought it was going to be quite tough because I assumed that a lot of the other drivers, like, McLaren, having both drivers in each like race, I assumed that to happen more frequently, but there's been a lot of races where they have missed, which has kind of pushed us into the championship, and then Ogio has missed a few. So, I mean, we've been a little lucky and unlucky at the same time in some races, but I mean, for the most part, me and Terrence has been there the whole season long, and I think that is one of the main reasons why we're still in here. We're just scoring consistently, doing our best.
Of course, next track, how are you feeling about that? Are you very good at it, or do you think improvement will be made between the races? Do you think you're confident enough to get the win, or do you think it's a track advantage for Devon?
The thing is, I've been losing a little F1 motivation lately of just driving, training for each race. So I go into every race expecting Devon to have the upper hand for like the last 4 or 5. But nonetheless, I am gonna always try to outscore him. Take my opportunities like today and in Japan when I happen to do the correct strategy. There's a lot more going into it than just like being the fastest. Like, you could be the fastest, but you still might not win the race
Yeah,
because there's millions of things that can happen. A late safety car, early safety car. Your strategy might just be incorrect. So being the fastest isn't always I mean, like you have an advantage, but you don't always win.
Yeah, of course. Thank you very much for that, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers.
Moving on to Devon next. Devon, that was a tough one. That was very tough. Of course, winning the sprint race, you were down to 5 points on Peanuts, and then in the main race, you done the 2-stop. Can you just take me through that, and what was your thought process behind that all?
Yeah, well, it wasn't my plan going into it. But then Tom Robb, who I was in a call with, told me that yesterday that's what everyone did. And the only person who didn't do that, which was Nifo, he ended up getting a puncture. So I thought it was a bit weird because past races I've made it easily to the end on a 1-stop, but you know what F1's like, they're always changing stuff. So I was like, I just listened. I was like, okay, yeah, let's try the 2-stop. At the beginning, the race was good. Obviously, like we made a bit of a gap, me and Charlie to Becken. And then once we pitted, it also still looked like it was going quite well. Like we weren't too far behind them. And then we pitted again. I think I'm getting mixed up here, but anyway, we pitted again, and on the softs, and immediately I could just tell like Peanuts was 17 seconds ahead. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna make that. I was getting flashbacks from last week's race in Japan when I pitted. And then had to catch up. It just wasn't really working as well as I thought it could. But once again, the person I'm trying to catch is getting dragged along with DRS, so it's kind of hard to do. Like maybe if Peanuts wasn't sat in DRS the entire time, I might have been able to catch him, but he was, so I wasn't really gaining much, especially not on the straight. So that's unfortunate. I don't know if the strategy was really wrong, but obviously I probably would have been a lot closer if I did the 1-stop. So it's annoying. It's an annoying way to lose some points to Peanuts, but I mean it's down to strategy, not skill. So I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. Like,
What's your frustrating race for you?
yeah.
Going 13 points behind in the Drivers' Championship. Of course, that's quite a big margin to gain, with obviously this different point system in comparison to real life. What would be your plan for these next few races? Of course, pushing as hard as you can, getting the strategy right and stuff like that, but what preparations would you take to try and obviously take back that advantage that Peanuts does have at the moment?
Preparations, probably not much. The game isn't fun, so like it's not fun to practice. I'll probably carry on not practicing. But maybe within the race, I will attempt to just copy Peanuts' strategy. I should have done that today, but I thought I tried the risky strat and it didn't work. So in terms of preparation, not much. But then while I'm in the race, yeah, I'm going to just copy what Peanuts does because I know if we're on the same strategy, I'm going to be quicker than them. So
Very, very confident in yourself, of course. But in the constructors, Red Bull obviously taking a very big hit there with the double Aston Martin podium, and Oggio, of course, not feeling too well, not being there, of course. Do you think the constructors are still on at this point, obviously with that massive advantage that Aston Martin have got, or do you reckon you're going to solely focus on that drivers?
well, I mean, there's not much I can do if Oggio is not going to be racing much. Like he hasn't been racing in a while, so I can't really win the constructors on my own. So if Oggio's there, obviously, then maybe we're back in the fight for the constructors. But if not, then I'm just going to be sticking my head towards the driving. The drivers, constructors, the fucking Jesus, the drivers' standings.
Yeah, obviously next track's is it Zandvoort, correct? I'm actually not too sure about that one.
Yeah.
I know you are very strong there. I've seen you race there before, and you
Am
have
I?
shown. Well,
Okay.
in comparison to others, I reckon you've got a good chance. Of course, you say. I think you like the circuit. I'm not too sure on that
Yeah.
one, but do you reckon with that Red Bull advantage you'll be able to take home the win?
Yeah, you get an extra. I think it was an extra 5 tenths a lap being in Max's car, so that should help a little bit. But no, it's a good circuit. Like it's actually quite good for racing. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I'm always confident in my abilities. It's just whatever happens in the race. So, but looking forward to it for sure.
Thank you very much, Dev, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Thank you, Zingy.
And we move on to Becken. Becken, that was a bit of a tough one to take. A very, very dramatic end to the sprint race, unfortunately. But obviously, a great qualifying. So you knew you had the pace. You made it back up in the race. Are you happy with that, or maybe a little bit disappointed that it couldn't have been more?
I mean, sprint race, not happy at all. I made at the last lap or second to last lap or whatever it was. I was stuck behind a person on old mediums, and I just didn't take the opportunity to overtake him, at all almost. So that I lost me the sprint completely. In the race, I mean, at the end of the day, I still got my 3 seconds. It was my fault that I got them. So I'd say I'm still pleased with it, but I still definitely think I had the pace over Peanuts. And even if Devon put it on their hards and went one stop, I think I still would have had him because of the mediums. Even if obviously if I didn't have the 3 seconds, and he didn't get 3 seconds either. Mm-hmm. But I'd say I'm semi pleased. I'd say.
Fair enough. Well, it definitely is a good thing to see. Since of course a few races that you've had which haven't quite gone your way. Zandvoort, is that a circuit that you like? Another high downforce circuit. With your performance today at a high downforce circuit, do you think you can finally get a win?
Yeah, I mean, I think I am decent on Zandvoort, so I think that I should have the pace to get a win, but I thought I had the pace several times this season, and I still haven't gotten a win yet, so, I mean, you never know, I could just get fucked again in some way, but I guess we'll see.
We'll see. No sprint race to cause you any issues. Qualifying, if you can get it right again, then that will be perfect, and track limits, very hard to extend that circuit, so you should be safe. Thank you very much, Becken. Really, really great effort today, and we'll see you next time. Well done.
Yep.
And we move on to Charlie. Charlie, question is, were you running out of fuel? Because you were mega quick to begin with, but just dropped off a little bit at the end. Also, time penalties seemed to be a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, actually, I was running out of fuel on last 2 laps, so I had to manage. But also the thing is that I didn't have almost any practice. I only did 10 laps of time trial before the race, so yeah. Mainly that's the reason that I didn't have pace today.
Fair enough. Do you think maybe with a little bit more you'd have been able to possibly win? Even if you had the right strategy, do you think you'd have been able to beat Becken and Peanuts?
I can't remember if I was actually ahead after the first pit stop.
Yes, you were.
I mean, maybe the win could have been possible even today, with the right strategy. But yeah, as Devon said before, Tom said that Nevo had a puncture with 1 stop, so I just I went for the 2 stop. I have no practice, no experience for the track, so I just didn't know.
Fair enough. Well, it's sometimes just things happen like that. Moving on to Zandvoort, maybe looking at a slightly more standard strategy, although that is a circuit that is very high downforce and could mean strategy can play a part in the race. Do you think you can do well there?
Yeah, and also rain, possibly. I don't know. I mean, I like the track. I've practiced on it a lot before. I'm quite fast, so yeah, I think I can do well there.
Awesome.
If I have time. Lately I haven't had time to race on Sunday, on Fridays or Saturdays, so we'll see.
Fair enough. Well, hopefully you do, and hopefully you can see you get up there again. It would be great to see maybe a win this season. So thank you very much, Charlie, and good luck in this race.
Thank you.
And we move on to Terence. Terence, that was a hell of a race. That is a podium for Aston Martin, getting perfect points there for the constructors. You extend. At the end, what I did notice is that your pace was matching the top 2. You happy with that?
Yeah, because I didn't do any practice again. But yeah, I know this track. I maybe have my pace to catch up to the top tiers. So I give told twice in the qualify to Peanuts because I know that is sprint also. So yeah, it's a good strategy at all, and I would take this kind of free pit stop instead of P5.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. It's very good. And do you think going into Zandvoort you can continue this good momentum? Your pace seems to be improving over the last couple of races.
I don't think so because last two track is my advantage track. So I don't think Zandvoort I can repeat that pattern, but I would try. I would definitely try to help the constructor and help Peanuts to get the top drivers standing. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, very well said. And thank you very much. I hope it goes well for you there. And I'm sure we'll see some great pace for you to continue. But yeah, no practice from many people around a circuit like this. They just don't seem to like it. So I guess that kind of puts everyone a bit more on an even playing field, and that worked out for you today. So well done. Very good effort. Congratulations on a great podium. And we'll see you next time. Well done.
Thank you, Aaron.
And we move on to Tom Brainer. Tom, you had some data yesterday. Of course, it was very tough with time penalties, but also the tyres. It wasn't exactly what you wanted today, with a few issues, of course, and a different strategy. Do you think you managed to fix the setup problems regardless of how the race went?
Yeah, I would say the setup problems were definitely gone. I felt more confident on it, but had a lot of issues with my controllers and my PC today. Because my controller was on a low energy mode after lap 10.
Right.
So I've got no force feedback anymore. That's why I spun the first time. And then I wanted to wait for my next pit stop to change my controller. But I've had zero confidence on it anymore, so I just switched earlier on the straight. And then I just felt really uncomfortable with my other controller because I'm not using it as much. So I did some mistake that probably I wouldn't have done before.
Fair enough.
And with this, and with the strategy, it was just really unlucky. Cause in all the races I've done, the tire wear was a lot higher than today. It seems like. That's why I reckoned the two stop. Yeah, it didn't work out today. I'm really impressed with the tire wear that Beckett and Peanuts told us. So that was just really unlucky today.
Fair enough. Well, it doesn't always go that way, and hardware issues is never going to help, of course. Moving on to Zandvoort, I think you've done well there in the past. Do you think you can do well there again, pace-wise?
I would think that pace-wise, I can fight again on the top. If Yazos didn't improve like 1 second or so. Yeah, I think I showed a really good pace. Just need to get a clean race without any small crashes or riding the curbs too much. And then it will hopefully go better.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Well said, and I hope it goes well next time. And we go back to Peanuts for one final time, because he's not done yet, not finished talking just yet. Peanuts, let us know.
The thing is, I need to just address some things. First, on the sprint, I thought I could have won that one, but I kind of screwed up the restart. I was elsewhere when we started, so I got a really bad start. And I was never getting Devin when he was like 2 seconds up the road and there was like 1 lap left. So I kind of fucked that one up. And in the race, at the beginning, my force feedback on my wheel wasn't working.
Right.
So that's why I kind of dropped down the field from like 2nd to I think 5th.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
And
well, you had some. It was looking like lag. Did you pause the game?
Yeah,
okay.
I pressed escape to let my AI drive. Is all I did.
Okay, it makes sense because all of a sudden your car started flying and you were on top of others. It was all a bit weird. That makes
Yeah.
sense. It explains a lot of things. Fair enough.
Because I couldn't let it drive, itself. Otherwise, but I feel like Becken was kind of my savior here because he was really quick all race and kind of carrying me along, and I didn't have to take any risks because I let him do all the heavy work while I was just sticking with him the whole time, quite comfortably. And the main reason why I'm back here is just to reply to whatever Devin said there at the end. I'm pretty sure if I would just had a normal start, I'm pretty sure I'm beating him there, pace wise.
Fair enough.
Because we were catching him like crazy at the end of the hard stint. Plus, I lost a few positions, and I would have been further up the field.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying. What he was saying is straight up bullshit, and I'm coming for him.
The beef is there. Thank you very much, Peanuts. Well said. I am very excited for Zandvoort. It's going to be a good one. Thank you very much. And great effort today. Great pace, and we know there's a bit more in there. Thank you.
Thanks.
And that's been it for the post-race interviews. Thank you very much. A bit spicy at the end. We'll see you next time for the Dutch Grand Prix. We'll see you on Tuesday for some open lobbies. Do join if you are interested. Thank you very much again. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.